The Supreme Arbiter felt a knot of anxiety tightening in his stomach. He had prayed fervently to the Celestial Triad that this day would never come. Yet, despite his hopes and prayers, here he was, standing in the command center, gazing out at the armada of 10 obsidian dreadnoughts looming menacingly in the void of space. These colossal ships, bristling with an array of advanced weaponry, were piloted by the Drens, the galaxy's most feared marauders. The Drens had earned their fearsome reputation by relentlessly traversing from star system to star system, planet to planet, demanding tribute and obedience. The threat of utter destruction loomed over any who dared to resist their demands. History bore witness to the fact that no civilization had ever stood victorious against their might. The Drens crushed all opposition with ruthless efficiency. However, there was a peculiar irony in the galaxy's plight. Despite their unparalleled technological prowess and military strength, the Drens were notoriously inept negotiators. Their overwhelming power could have allowed them to extract far greater concessions from the civilizations they subjugated. Yet, due to their lack of diplomatic finesse, they often settled for a mere fraction of what they could have demanded. Now, the Supreme Arbiter found himself in an unenviable position. The Drens had approached the borders of the Interstellar Coalition, prompting the Coalition's leaders to dispatch him and 12 other envoys to negotiate. Their mission was to stave off the impending annihilation the Drens could unleash at any moment. His twin hearts pounded in his chest, a testament to his rising fear and the gravity of the situation. As the view screen flickered to life, it revealed the Dren commander. The commander's appearance was deceptively unremarkable, green-skinned with an angular face. Yet, his eyes were anything but ordinary. They were piercing, cold, and calculating, scanning each delegate with unsettling intensity. The Supreme Arbiter took a deep breath, his voice trembling slightly as he began to speak. "Honored Dren Commander, we welcome you," he said, hoping his words could somehow avert the catastrophe that seemed imminent. The delegation was grateful for the opportunity to engage in these negotiations. The Dren commander's expression remained stoic, but his eyes softened slightly as he spoke. "You may address me as Commander," he said, his words processed through the translator. "Thank you, Commander," the Supreme Arbiter replied, bowing his head respectfully. "We appreciate your patience and forbearance." As he spoke, a muffled cough of amusement came from one of the other representatives. It was a member of the newest race to join the coalition, humans. The Supreme Arbiter shot a warning glare at the human representative, who had been part of the coalition for less than a few cycles, far too soon to be involved in such critical negotiations. Nevertheless, coalition law required all member races to send a delegate. "Get on with it," the Dren commander snapped impatiently. "What do you offer to prevent your annihilation?" Swallowing hard, the Supreme Arbiter responded, "Mighty Commander, the coalition offers you the third sector of our home system. This includes everything from the star known as Rho to the planet called Trix, encompassing thousands of mineral-rich asteroids, 30 planetary bodies, and their moons." The Dren commander leaned back in his seat, appearing disinterested and disappointed. "Next," he said, waving a hand at the view screen. One by one, the other representatives made their offers. Each bowed deeply and promised vast sections of their domains, untold resources, and even fleets of ships. When it was the human's turn, the representative stood tall and did not bow, much to the Supreme Arbiter's dismay. "Most esteemed and powerful Commander," the human began. "As the newest member of the coalition, we cannot offer any of our territory or resources." The Supreme Arbiter's eyes widened in horror. What was this human doing? However, the human continued, "What we can offer you is a big glass of shut the hell up." A shocked silence fell over the chamber. The other representatives stared at the human in terror, certain they were all doomed. The Dren commander, who had been gazing around idly, snapped his attention back to the view screen, his eyes narrowing dangerously. "Who said that?" he demanded, his voice trembling with rage. Before the human could speak, every other representative pointed at him. The human looked around, unfazed, with a slight sneer. The Dren commander scrutinized the human intently. "I want to understand your intent," he hissed. "Did you mean to imply?" Defiance, the Supreme Arbiter, started to stammer out an apology, his voice trembling with fear. However, the Dren commander cut him off with a thunderous roar, "Silence, worm." He jabbed a finger toward the human, his eyes blazing with fury. "I want him to speak for himself." The human stepped forward, his demeanor calm and confident. "My apologies, Commander. There seems to be some misunderstanding. I did not intend to imply defiance. Rather, I meant to make it unequivocally clear that under no circumstances will we bow and scrape to you, nor will we offer you a single thing." The Supreme Arbiter felt his legs buckle beneath him, his strength draining away. It was over. They were all doomed. The human continued, his voice steady and unwavering, "Perhaps if I told you to go back to where you came from and perform unspeakable acts with your own mothers, my meaning would be clearer. Does this help you understand my position?" The Dren commander listened intently as the translator repeated the human's words twice more, his expression growing more intense with each repetition. Finally, he focused his gaze on the human and stood up, towering over the assembly. "Silence," he commanded, though the chamber was already deathly quiet. A broad smile slowly spread across his face. "We have been searching for you." The human was taken aback, a look of surprise crossing his face. "Searching for us? You know nothing about us," he replied defiantly. The Dren commander let out a chilling laugh that echoed through the chamber. "Oh, but I do. I know you joined this coalition recently," he began, settling back into his chair with a predatory grace. "I know it didn't take you long to realize that you are predators among prey. I know you understand that none of these other races can challenge you." The human's posture stiffened, but he remained silent, his face a mask of controlled emotion. The Dren commander continued, his voice dripping with a strange mix of admiration and menace. "I know you realize there must be more out there, something truly worthy of your strength. I know your race thrives on competition and conflict. It is in your blood. And I know this because we are the same." A tense silence enveloped the room. The human finally spoke, his words carefully measured. "I thought I knew you, but I was mistaken. Now I think I understand. Please, enlighten me," the Dren commander invited, a curious glint in his eye. The human took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. "You became complacent. You felt trapped, suffocating among those you knew were not your equals. The galaxy views you as bullies and offers you trinkets to appease you, not because they think you are foolish, but because they know you do not care for such things. You push them not to intimidate, but to find a worthy opponent. You fear boredom above all else because, without challenge, there is no life. You fear becoming weak by facing only the weak. And now, having faced this realization, I understand that you feel the same as us." The Supreme Arbiter and the other delegates remained silent, their eyes wide with uncertainty. This was uncharted territory, a dialogue none had anticipated. "My race has a saying," the human said, his voice resonating with a deep sense of conviction. "When the two strongest meet, they must fight." The Dren commander nodded, though his expression was tinged with a melancholic sadness. "We stand on the edge. Do we fight, or do we find a different path?" The human stopped pacing and faced the commander directly. "In my gut, you do not feel like an enemy. You feel like a brother." The Dren commander nodded slowly, his eyes reflecting a profound understanding. "We have long sought you out, not merely to test our skills in battle, but because we yearn for something more profound. Now that we have found you, I wish to change our approach." "I have an idea," the human said with a smile. "Why don't you come over? We can throw some food on the grill, have a few drinks, and discuss our future." The Dren commander chuckled. The translator did not catch half of that, but it sounds good. "We will prepare for transport to your vessel." "Not this one," the human replied. "We have a battle cruiser hidden behind the nearest moon, just in case. Let's meet there." The Supreme Arbiter was stunned by this revelation, but the Dren commander laughed heartily. "I knew I liked your race." "Oh, and Commander," the human added, "since we both thrive on competition, what do you think of sports?" The Dren commander's eyes lit up with interest. "Sports? Tell me more." The human representative, John, grinned. "Sports are contests of physical and mental skill, strategy, and teamwork. They range from one-on-one duels to massive team-based games. They allow us to push our limits, test our strengths, and improve ourselves without the destruction of war. Think of it as a way to satisfy our need for challenge and competition in a controlled environment." The Dren commander leaned forward, his interest piqued. "Intriguing. Can you give me an example?" John nodded. "Certainly. One of our most popular sports is called soccer, or football in some parts of our world. It's played between two teams of 11 players each. The objective is to score goals by getting a ball into the opposing team's net, all while following specific rules. It requires agility, strategy, teamwork, and endurance." The Dren commander's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. "A game of skill and strategy. I like the sound of that. It seems it would be an excellent way to test our abilities without unnecessary bloodshed." "Exactly," John agreed. "We have many such sports, some that emphasize strength, others that focus on speed, strategy, or precision. There are even simulations that mimic battle scenarios without any real danger. It's a way to keep our competitive edge sharp." The Dren commander sat back, a contemplative look on his face. "Your proposal is interesting. It offers a way for us to engage without the need for constant conflict. I think our people would be eager to participate in such competitions." John's grin widened. "I'm glad you think so. Perhaps we could arrange a series of matches between our best athletes and warriors. It would be a way for us to learn from each other and build a bond of mutual respect. The Supreme Arbiter, who had been silent up until now, cautiously spoke up. If I may, this could be a historic opportunity for all our races, a way to foster peace through competition and understanding. The other ambassadors, still recovering from the shock of the earlier exchange, began to nod in agreement. The idea of channeling the Dren's need for competition into something constructive was appealing. The Dren commander stood up, his imposing figure casting a long shadow across the viewscreen. Very well, human. We will come to your battle cruiser and discuss this further. If your proposal proves as compelling as you claim, it may mark the beginning of a new era for our people. John bowed slightly. Thank you, Commander. We look forward to welcoming you. As the viewscreen went dark, the Supreme Arbiter turned to John, his expression a mixture of awe and disbelief. You may have just averted a galactic war, human. John shrugged. Sometimes, the key to resolving conflicts lies in finding common ground and having a bit of audacity. The Supreme Arbiter, a figure of great authority and wisdom, nodded thoughtfully. A smile slowly spread across his face, indicating his approval of the idea. Indeed, he said, let us prepare for our guests and ensure that this meeting sets the stage for a future where our competition can lead to mutual growth rather than destruction. The room buzzed with activity as the delegates began their preparations. There was a palpable sense of hope in the air, a collective feeling that perhaps this time, things could be different. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with challenges, but it also held the promise of a new kind of unity, one that was not based on subjugation or fear, but on mutual respect and a shared sense of purpose. This potential for a new beginning energized everyone involved. The delegates, representing various factions and interests, felt a renewed sense of optimism. They were determined to forge a unity that transcended past animosities and rivalries. At the heart of this effort was the indomitable spirit of humanity. This spirit was characterized by a readiness to transform potential enemies into allies, not through coercion or dominance, but through the simple yet profound power of healthy competition. As the preparations continued, the Supreme Arbiter reflected on the momentous task ahead. He understood that true unity could not be imposed, it had to be cultivated through dialogue, understanding, and a willingness to see beyond differences. The upcoming meeting represented a crucial opportunity to set a new precedent, one where competition would be harnessed as a force for good, driving progress and innovation rather than conflict and destruction. In this hopeful atmosphere, every small action taken by the delegates felt significant. Each gesture of goodwill, each attempt to bridge divides, contributed to the larger goal of creating a future where diverse groups could coexist and thrive together. The indomitable spirit of humanity, resilient and ever hopeful, was poised to transform a history of discord into a legacy of cooperation and shared growth.